kali saya menginjakkan kaki di Dili sejak negara ini bebas dari Indonesia pada tahun 1969. Sebelum itu merupakan bagian dari Republik Indonesia dan namanya dikenal sebagai Timor Timur. Tapi sekarang sudah merdeka menjadi Timor Leste. Mari kita ikuti Inside Journey bersama saya, Desi Anwar. Bienvenido a Timor Leste. Welcome to Timor Leste. Kita sudah datang dan kita diberikan formulir ini, bea cukai untuk diisi. Coba kalau kita lihat, ya secara dekat ada bahasa yang digunakan di sini adalah bahasa Portugis dan bahasa Tetun, dan juga bahasa Inggris, tidak ada bahasa Indonesia. Tapi mudah-mudahan orang Timor Leste itu masih fasih ya berbicara dalam bahasa Indonesia. Mari kita lihat. Kita masuk Timor Leste itu sudah masuk ke negara lain, makanya harus isi formulir masuk, harus juga membawa paspor, dan tentu saja harus lewat imigrasi. Ini suatu pengalaman yang menurut saya cukup unik ya, karena seperti saya katakan tadi, terakhir kali saya di sini, tentu saja ini merupakan wilayah dari Republik Indonesia, bagian dari provinsi ya, provinsi termuda di Indonesia pada saat itu. Akhirnya sampai juga. Ini sebenarnya pengalamannya seperti kita ke daerah, tapi bedanya kita harus lewat imigrasi, harus bawa paspor, untungnya nggak perlu visa. Dan juga ternyata ya di sini mereka masih semuanya bisa dan paham bahasa Indonesia. Jadi sangat-sangat mudah untuk masuk ke Timor Leste. Wonderful place, be unforgettable with our best product. Ada logonya Pertamina. Jadi tampaknya BUMN Indonesia juga masih cukup memiliki peran yang besar ya di sini ya. Ada beberapa billboard yang memang masih cukup familiar. Kebetulan lapar nih. Banyak sekali nih menu Indonesia. Luar biasa indahnya. Terakhir saya ke sini kalau tidak salah pada tahun 91 silam, memang sudah lama sekali. Dan saat itu saya cukup kaget karena infrastruktur di Dili itu lumayan bagus, jalan-jalannya itu bagus. Tapi saya bisa lihat bahwa taraf ekonominya saat itu masih sangat miskin. Kalau kita lihat sekarang sudah banyak kemajuan, lebih banyak lagi infrastrukturnya saya lihat sudah dibangun, dan juga mungkin masyarakatnya juga jauh lebih makmur, walaupun memang secara keseluruhan dari segi ekonominya masih perlu banyak yang dilakukan untuk mengembangkan Timor Leste ini. Tapi ya, bagi negara yang memang baru lahir pada tahun 2002, tentu saja banyak sekali tantangan yang harus dihadapi, apalagi ya ini kan negara yang masih sangat tergantung kepada sumber daya alamnya, juga kepada bantuan yang diberikan oleh asing, dunia internasional. Tentu saja support juga yang diberikan oleh Indonesia dari berbagai hubungan baik budaya maupun ekonomi, dan tentu saja kehadiran Indonesia di daerah ini, khususnya di Dili ini masih cukup terasa. Banyak BUMN saya lihat ada di sini. Di sini untuk komunikasinya, telekomunikasinya, saya lihat Telkomsel, bukan Telkomsel tapi Telkomsel. Juga ada Pertamina, tentu saja. Lubangnya saya lihat ada di Mandiri, jadi hubungannya cukup dekat lah dengan Indonesia. Ya memang harus begitu karena kita negara yang dekatan, negara tetangga. Sebenarnya masih saudara juga.
Timor Timur atau Timor Leste resmi berpisah dengan Indonesia pada 20 Mei 2002. Melalui jajak pendapat pada 30 Agustus 1999, sebanyak 78,5% masyarakat Timor Timur memilih merdeka. Dari awal terjadinya konflik hingga saat ini, sudah 10 Perdana Menteri memerintah Timor Leste. Negara ini mengalami perkembangan yang cukup pesat dibandingkan sebelum kemerdekaan. Namun masalah penting masih menghantui Timor Leste, yaitu kemiskinan. Dilansir dari Global Finance pada 2023, Timor Leste berada di peringkat ke-31 negara termiskin di dunia.
Insight with Desi Anwar kali ini edisi spesial langsung dari Dili, Timor Leste. Ini dulu pernah menjadi bagian dari provinsi Indonesia yang ke-27. Selama 24 tahun Timor Timur merupakan bagian dari Indonesia tentu saja. Tapi sekarang sejak 21 tahun yang lalu, persisnya tahun 2002, Timor Leste menjadi negara Republik Demokratik Timor Leste yang independen, yang merdeka. Nah, bagaimana kehidupan warga Timor Leste saat ini? Bagaimana pandangannya khusus bagi mereka yang pernah merasakan ya menjadi warga negara Indonesia dan kemudian sekarang menikmati kemerdekaan? Saya sudah ditemani oleh Francisca Maia Gonçalves yang katanya dulu juga presenter ya. Siska, apa kabar?
Baik, Ibu Desi.
Masih lancar bahasa Indonesianya kan?
Masih, hanya bahasanya agak formal sedikit karena udah lama ya tidak bicara setiap hari dengan bahasa.
Tapi masih bagus kok, masih lancar. Jadi ini ada yang menarik dari Siska ini. Siska kan lahir tahun 82, jadi waktu itu masih Timor Timur ya, masih provinsi di Indonesia. Dan pernah juga menjadi presenter ketika Timor Timur became Timor Leste ya, jadi TV apa? TV Timor Leste.
Mulanya dengan TV UN.
TV UN.
UN karena setelah Timor jadi independen tahun 2000, kita melalui proses transition sehingga kita ada UN mission called United. Di situ ada TV, they call UN United TV. I think that's where the time I was joining the TV. And the national TV came later, 2002, setelah Timor Leste become fully independent.
Okay, well, maybe you can share with us, yeah, because you grew up obviously. Waktu dari kecil kan pasti ya nontonnya TV Indonesia. Pendidikannya kan pendidikan Indonesia. Dan sekarang 21 tahun sudah merdeka. Mungkin bisa cerita pengalamannya, tumbuh besar berkembang di bawah Republik Indonesia dan kemudian akhirnya menjadi Timor Leste.
Ya, I would say my grow up dari zaman Indonesia is also shaped who I am today. After independence, I decided to become a reporter and news anchor, and now also work as a passion in storytelling and filmmaking, besides continue my profession in media and communication. I would say I'm so happy to meet you, and somehow you are part of that, a person who bounced in that mana and the spirit back on those days, because I grew up watch Indonesian channels and Indonesian TV, and I'm really pay attention to the presenter, especially women, and I think that when you all deliver the news, your punctuation, your sharpness, your eye contact, somehow from the distance we feel it. And as a child, young girl, 15 years old, we're still dreaming. I think when I saw every night watching the news, I think that's where the dream suddenly appeared in my head. At the same time also the environment as well, that I think the outside world is what I see. It's you guys in the TV.
Okay, that's very generous of you.
Yeah.
But Siska, what we also have to remember, we didn't really know what was going on that much about what was happening here in those times. So what was it like growing up in those days in East Timor? And we were going through our own reformasi back in '98, where we were also trying to, becoming democratic ourselves. But you grew up. What was your sentiment, your emotions about Indonesia? And I mean, did you feel that, oh yes, I'm part of Indonesia, or did you feel the call of resistance or the desire for, even at a young age, to be, to have that independence? And I'm curious because we, like I said, we didn't know
The feeling.
very much about what the East Timorese people feel.
I think
especially the young people.
Timorese kids sometimes we recognize the rebel, tidak buat kurang prestasi di sekolah, kadang-kadang nakal, ya. Semua, sometimes that connotation is kind of attached to us. So sometimes some of us, like myself, I kind of fight against that. That's why I told you, like, when I was in SMP, I already dapat beasiswa. I think that's something of like me try to show that, okay, some kids are maybe been labeling and that.
Oh, you were labeled nakal atau pemberontak.
Ada teman-temannya lain ya pemberontak, sehingga myself somehow that like no, not all of us like that. We also, So that's why when I was in SMP, I'm doing good, dapat beasiswa segala macam, buat bagus in English.
But did you feel Indonesian then?
It's hard to describe that because our parents always say, go to school, study hard. One day country independent, need people smart, clever, go to school. So we do what our parents wanted, every day go to school. But every day we can't ignore, because when we're coming home, it's all about resistance. It's all about, our parents doing something that we don't know, but we know they do something. And then when the 12th November massacre happened,
In 1991, I still remember the Santa Cruz massacre.
Cruz, yeah.
What happened emotionally?
I think as a kid, that's where we noticed the change, because we see in the neighborhood, we see our brothers, our sisters, like we always saw them on the street, and suddenly on that day after that massacre, it's no longer the same. It's the area where I live, called Bairupite, every 2 houses we have TNE live there. Every 2 houses we have TNE live there.
How did you feel then?
it's so this is the thing. Now I'm growing up. I look back. I know why sometimes my parents are worried when we go play in the TNE houses, because they are neighborhood. Sometimes they give this biscuit, the military biscuit. It's tasty, but it's maybe it's the way for us to open about what is happening in the.
But did you ever feel frightened?
After Santa Cruz, that's where I'm become a rebel a little bit. That my father wanted me to do in a good school, but I'm follow my sisters, my cousin to go for protests. So in that young age, I go to the protest in Cathedral, and there is a protest happening after that Nobel Peace Prize ceremony, and then people are here welcoming, but then there's a protest happen. I'm still involved in it because I see there's no point to, I mean, you study hard, but then those people are your people as well, and then you can't pretending that sitting in the school and try to, but actually people are dying, and you find out your friend's brother was missing. Like my friend's brother was missing in Santa Cruz, and the neighbor, you know, is your neighbor and never coming back, and you start feel that missing, and you say, you know what, things are not all right as it is, and
your friends were similar?
My friends are similar. And the environment become changed, and then you live in the environment where sometimes you don't know who you trust because people are divided. You know, people are divided. Some people prefer to be with continue being Indonesian. Some continue work, you know, for the secretly in clandestine. And when you start seeing the dangers of that, you become scared as well because you know later that your family also do those clandestine. And then you live close to where the TNI.
But you wanted?
I wanted because I come from the family who already fought for 75, and I think I come from a family background where they all fought for independence, and many will die in the 75 war. Many, I don't know the story. Growing up, listen to how bravery they are, how good they are, how life was there before. It's just a nostalgic, it's just like reminiscing. But I know why the family still continue fought even during the Indonesian occupation, because they've been, somehow that's their hope and their dream. And later we see that, but somehow they still want us to continue, study hard.
Yeah, it's very important.
Very important. While they do this, we need to study hard and focus on school and all, and they do this. But as you grow up, you think that
you became more politicized, did you?
I somehow, this is my rebel is like, I go to the protest, I want to see what they're going to do to me when I return. Are they going to angry to me, or are they going to beat me, or what?
Were you ever arrested? Or?
I didn't arrest it, but I remember after that protest, we were took out with the big Hino, and then they drop us in each neighborhood. I feel one kick in the ass because, like, you know, but that's the only remember I have. I was 50 years old at that time. Joined the sisters and brothers going for protests. Then the interesting part is when I come in home as a kid, I was like, I want to see how my parents are going to do to me, because I'm not become a good kid anymore.
You're a rebel.
I'm a rebel.
And then we have the referendum, obviously.
Yeah. There's a lot of work still we need to do, and especially we already gained the independence, but now we need to focus to bring a better life to Timorese people.
Just very quickly, do you remember what times were like during the referendum, and also There was a lot of violence, I remember.
Yeah.
A lot of people were killed. Journalists were also killed. I had a friend who was also killed at that time.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, do you remember it? And how did you feel when the results of the referendum came up? And
So on
basically
1998 and 1999, I began work as a freelance interpreter and working with the World Vision as a freelance and helping them distributing the food to the community. Because on 1999 is a tough one because of people want you to vote for the for the autonomy, and how try to keep maintain yourself to vote for referendum. There's a lot of intimidation happening in the community among us as well, because we have pro-autonomy and pro-independence in the same neighborhood. And I remember that day when my family or everyone went to vote. I'm not at home at that time because I was working as an interpreter, and I ended up staying in the, after the vote, everyone flew. Everyone not stay home. Everyone vote, flew straight away to the mountain. They know that something's going to happen the next day when the result. I didn't leave the town somehow because I still work as an interpreter. So I was in here, and I was at the tourism hotel, and then later evacuated to UNAMED compound because tourism hotel was burned after that. And then I was in the UNAMED compound, and I never forgot that memory that I think at that time a lot of houses, even UNHCR, a place where they put the food, all burned. They only have hope to the World Vision's food. So that day I remember me and the UNHCR person walk out to the street where all the militias passing by with the big truck. And we asking help from the Bree mob to accompany us to go get the food. We just look back, what a stupid idea was that, you know, and later the Bree mob came and said that, oh, that office already been burned. I look back, I said, lucky that I'm not going to that office. I might burn there.
How did you feel when the vote was for independence? How did you feel when the referendum result was for independence?
It's like unbelievable. It's like, oh my God, this is like a help for everyone, even for myself. Because people live so oppressed, and people fought so hard, and I remember, because there's a lot of intimidation, even among us as well, because there's a lot of killing happen, there's a lot of rape happen, and to force people, to fierce people not go to vote. And I think the resilience of Timorese people, that strength, that mana that Timorese people have is really powerful. And I remember 5 a.m. that night, no one sleep, and people not sleeping, and people just all packing, preparing themselves to go for vote. And after vote, people flew.
Thank you for sharing. But now time's flown. Yes. More than 20 years since independence. Tell me, this is what you hoped for? I mean, what do you think of? The development of Timor Leste, the direction it's gone through. I mean, you're a journalist, so, you know, what's your opinion and your thoughts about how the country and where the country's heading?
First, as a Timorese, I will say the best present for any Timorese is this independence life, because that's the moment where we see the world bigger than Timor for the first time. And as myself, I travel to study in Hawaii and later in Australia, be able to see, oh, Australia is not so far away. Kupan is not so far away after independence. and our wing is expanded, and we can fly it, and we can feel the fresh air and see the world bigger.
But with that life in Timor Leste itself, now it became a
There's a lot of work still we need to do, and especially we already gained the independence, but now we need to focus to bring a better life for Timorese people.
Is it getting better all the time? Can you feel?
We can feel it is. It's getting there compared to where the 1999, 2000. Before 1999, 2000, there is no good road, there is no electricity. You come home, all is dark. There is no internet and all those things. You know, things are developed as it goes, but we still need to work hard more, especially to free ourselves, not too dependent to our natural resources. How can we make Timor become sustainable in terms of to diversify our economy, especially in agriculture. It's tourism, it's beautiful.
Yeah, well, it's a young country.
Yeah.
You're just beginning. What about the young people? Especially those born after 2002. I mean, what are they like? Do they know their history? Do they know what's going on, and what are their dreams?
They're millennial. Their pace is fast. They have a big hope, and in terms of history, that degree it might strong, not as strong as how my generation and the past generation, but the young generation also are learning the history, because our history still. Every year we celebrate. We just celebrate 12th November. We're going to celebrate 28th Proclamation of Independence. So kids are growing up, celebrating this, and also at the same time, as an older generation. I would say I'm still young generation.
Yeah, you're still very young.
Very young.
I'd say you're on the cusp between millennial and Generation X. I mean, you were born in the 80s, so this also still valid for you, because you still have a big future in front of you.
So somehow I also need to pass on that history as well for my nieces and all that.
But is it taught at school? What happened?
It hasn't. Compared to when the Indonesian time, your curriculum are really strong, coming to the sejarah, so detailed. I think we are still in the process of making it
history book.
History book. And then as a myself growing up, learning my history orally through young generation, my mom sharing to me, passing on about my tradition. And what we experience also, like for myself, I feel also obligated to also continue share it with my nieces orally as well. And there's a true legacy that we carry on. It's not only the legacy of our history as a nation to gain the independence, but also our tradition as well, growing up.
Yeah. I mean, the political aspect is one thing, obviously, but culturally and it's socially. I mean, growing up, like you said, watching Indonesian television, and also the young people now, how do they feel about things Indonesian? I mean, is this also part of their life, part of their culture? Are they comfortable speaking Indonesian, and do they have attachment to Indonesian things?
Well, a lot of things.
Especially, I mean, a
lot of things in Timor, come from Indonesian. Many goods as well came from Cukupan, Atambua, Surabaya. So even things we wear, sometimes.
What about things like music and art and the culture, your film, for example?
We're watching all the Indonesian channels every day, because they have these satellites that you can watch all the Indonesian channel. And kids understand Indonesia because they're growing up watching sinetron, watching Indonesian channels.
But do they teach Bahasa Indonesia at school, or is it Portuguese and English?
They teach Portuguese and English and Tetun. But everyone knows Indonesian because they're growing up watching Indonesian channels all the time. And we're still watching Indonesian channel until now, Indonesian music and all that.
Do you still have your favorite Indonesian?
I think my music taste is a bit old compared to the young one.
What about Indonesian friends? Do you still have them now, until now?
I think it's a new friends now because many of the Indonesian friends we didn't getting in touch, and I think there are some friends that we get in touch is some Timorese friends who now be part of Indonesia.
Okay.
Yeah, so they moved to Indonesia after the independence, and I still listen to a lot of Indonesian music. I grew up with all the Indonesian song and watching Indonesia.
And of course, Indonesian food. Every restaurant we go to
everything.
is
So,
all Indonesian food.
I wish that I can somehow make better my Indonesian as well, and to not, if I can have a chance, like travel to Indonesia so that I can speak more Indonesian. Soalnya di sini kita bicara bahasa Tetu.
Iya, bahasa Tetu, bahasa
Inggris,
Portugis,
Inggris,
bahasa, ya padahal
Sehingga nonton
kita tetangga.
Kita tetangga. Nonton televisi semua ini ya, tapi harus perlu bicara.
Iya, memang
hari.
harus dilatih ya, harus dipraktekkan. Terakhir mungkin ya, Siska, what are your dreams and hopes for Timor Leste? What kind of country would you like to see Timor Leste? I mean, being as now part of the family of the global nations.
I think simple thing, first of all, to keep maintain this independent life, for the young generation stay away from the trouble, and to see everyone can eat 3 times a day, and to see women not die when they're giving birth, that everyone can access to the health, everyone can access to the food, that nutrition. Before I even have a big hope about how this country going to be developed, I think I will have that simple hope first, where all the kids can eat 3 times a day, and all the kids can go to school, and a mother not worry, not die when they're given a birth. Simple things like that first. And then every day wake up enjoying the sunrise and sunset and
It's
keep
absolutely beautiful. Okay. Terima kasih banyak, Siska, atas insight-nya. Thank you very much for sharing. Also, this is, for me, it's something that, for us in Indonesia, especially in the 90s, we didn't know very much of what was happening, but now that we are basically, we're still family.
Yes,
right?
of course we are.
Probably better relations now than ever,
I think so too.
than before.
Yes.
Can you feel it?
Of
that
course.
the mutual respect, the fondness and affection.
This is the things, past has to do with the military regime. It's nothing to do with the Indonesian people. If I go, like when I study in Hawaii, or if I go to if I bump into one Indonesian person, it's click straight away, talk like the person for a long time, and it's become quickly to connected, and that's how the relationship is. Yeah.
Thank you. Terima kasih banyak, Siska.